Lakers season ticket holder has bought 4 billboards around the city to recruit LeBron James. And what do you know? The Cavs come to town tomorrow to play the games against the Clippers and Lakers. Now, we told you on Monday's show this was going to happen, people. Do we think they'll work?
Billboards always work, right?
No, that is a graphic nightmare. We have a community of graphic artists in this city. You can do better than that.
Los Angeles
it offends my aesthetic sensibility. That's a terrible billboard.
I mean, the fans do it, though. If the team had done it, that would be tampering. And the Lakers never tamper. So, you know.
Oh, I know. Billboards always work. Gordon Hayward stayed in Utah. Dwight Howard stayed in L.A.
Nobody caught my Lakers joke.
I know, the tampering.
He's like, we caught it.
I don't joke about tampering around here. Magic, I got your back.
Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. We are all insidery today. We have Amin Elhassan, Kevin Arnovitz. Thank you guys for joining us.
The journalist right here.
I'm going to take you back now. Remember back at the beginning of the season when there was so much excitement about the Oklahoma City Thunder? Sam Presti's riverboat gamble of first swiping Paul George from Indy, then collecting Carmelo. I mean, it was downright tantalizing. Vegas odd makers raised OKC's chances of winning the title from 60-1 to 16-1. Flash forward to last night, when the only serious title contender on Oklahoma City's floor appeared to be the visitors. Yes, the Thunder had the score close in the third, but Houston then went on a run that looked so effortless. I mean, it's kind of like someone changed the video game setting over to rookie mode right there in the middle of the quarter. You could see the frustration just building on the Thunder player faces as they absorbed all the blows. And actually, I got to be honest, you could hear it too. This is a family show, so we're going to put a bleep in there as we show you Melo on one of James Harden's drives. I'm not even going to get into the irony of Carmelo Anthony chastising Steven Adams on defense, but obviously, look, I mean, the Rockets do make it really hard to help in that scenario. That is part of why they are so lethal. And of course, Oklahoma City is missing its best defender. By the way, if you're one of those people who didn't think it was a big deal when Andre Robertson went down for the season with that exploding knee, take a look at his impact on the Thunder's defensive efficiency. With Robertson, they were at 102.6. That was 5th best in the NBA. In the stretch since he got hurt, they're 109.2. Now, how bad is 109.2? Well, no NBA team has made the playoffs with a defensive rating that bad in the last 30 years. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a big swing. And it wasn't tough to foresee. In fact, when Robertson got hurt before the deadline, I turned to our friend Brian Windhorst and asked if the loss of Robertson was so lethal, Presti might actually consider dealing Paul George. Now, follow me here. The idea would be that by acquiring PG in the first place, Presti had already accomplished the most important thing, which was convincing Russ that OKC was dedicated to winning and that Russ should sign that big extension. Of course, the idea had been to next convince PG to re-sign on the strength of making a strong playoff run this year. But without Robertson, it was hard already before the trade deadline to see OKC getting past the second round. And therefore, it was worth at least asking if maybe it would be smarter to deal PG for some value before risking him leaving in free agency, like Kevin Durant. Not shockingly, at the time, the answer Presti gave all our reporters was a strong no. In early February, the Thunder were feeling confident in both the relationships they'd built with George and their chances, even without Robertson, to still compete. Remember when Russ was asked what his sales pitch to PG would be this summer? His answer was, quote, "The sales pitch is going to be when we win a championship." That was actually just a month ago. Sure feels like a lot longer. Right now, the Thunder sit in 7th place in the West. They're actually, though, tied in the loss column with the Clippers, who are in 9th. Are you keeping Paul George if you don't even make the playoffs? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe those relationships the front office has faith in, maybe they are strong enough to convince PG to reinvest. It's too early to say, but last night sure felt like a statement about something bigger than just a loss. Oh my, how things have changed. All right, so what do you think? You're looking at these last 20 or so games of the season. What do you guys think they have to do for convince Paul George this is a place I want to be from this summer next on?
Hey, look, I mean, the rough whiteboard is still relatively sensible. I'm not going to win a championship, but I think the idea is look, you got to win. This is a guy who came into the league. Year 2 is playing Miami Heat in a hard-fought May series. Years 3 and 4 going down to a 4-2 and 4-3. On June 3rd, playing for the right to go to the MLS. That's his baseline. And at the end of the day, yes, they're going to have to make assurances. We'll shore up the depth. We got a bad break with Pat Patterson. The bench wasn't where it was. But I think ultimately they have to have a very nice run into May, win a first-round series, acquit themselves well.
They're in 7th, tied in the loss column for 9th right now.
Yeah, but how far are they out of 3rd?
Yeah, that's an interest. That's an important
Just because
distinction.
that West is so stacked.
Yeah, the standings are misleading because they're not really 7th. Like, you're not good enough to be 3rd. You're just, there's so many teams and they're all separated by a game or two.
Well, I mean, they are really 7th.
But
Those tiebreakers are all there for a reason. But yes,
Hey, and okay, so then they upset in the first round.
Right,
now
right.
they beat a 3 or, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I guess I'm saying.
Yeah.
The difference between the 7th seed and the 3 seed is not as vast as what
crazy.
you would imagine in a regular year. But I think there was 2 things a couple of months ago when we talked about this. What does it need for Paul George to stay in Oklahoma City? I said 2 things. Obviously, their success is one thing. The other is how he's used, how he's utilized. Because at the time when we talked about this, he was basically Thabo Sefolosha. Hey, defend, stand in the corner, we'll get you some threes.
Sure.
Which, even if they won 75 games and won a championship, that's not very fulfilling for a player of his stature, right? You mentioned going deep and almost going to the finals as a main piece, not as a guy just stand in the corner and be quiet, right? And so, kudos to them. They figured out their offensive issues, and they did feature him, and he did feel a part of this thing, and they were very successful. But now the other part comes in, the team success. And so being a 7th seed isn't as important to me as getting out of the first round, having a real chance at playing for a chance to go to the finals. That's more important than where we were seated in the playoffs.
Right, and that's why last night gets us to this question. It's that, hey, they were across the floor from a team that at the beginning of the season, they thought they might finish better than, right? They were like, oh, we could be better than the Rockets. We could be the challengers to Golden State. Last night pretty concretely showed us that is not the case. Obviously, the last couple months have showed us that's not the case. So if that's not going to be their sell to Paul George, sort of what is it going to be? You guys think that they can still do enough in these last few weeks to be like, yes, this is the place?
Yeah, because for me, it's not the standings. It's how do we do in the playoffs. If they lose they beat the Rockets in the second round. If they lose to the Warriors or if they beat the Warriors and go to the finals, I think those are all, no matter where they...
Watching that game last night, you think that they can beat the Rockets in the second round?
I'm not saying they can. I'm saying where they finish in the playoff picture is irrelevant unless where they finish is 9.
It'll be a momentum play, right? Like, okay, yeah, they win a first-round series against the San Antonio, against the Minnesota. They acquit themselves well.
Sure.
He's featured on the move in situations at the elbow where he can just absolutely, get and go. I mean, there's a functional place for him in a lineup. It seems like I could play like this, yeah.
All right, well, this is good. This gives you your mission, Oklahoma City Thunder. On the end of last night's game were, of course, the Rockets. We got to talk about the fact that they have 16 straight wins now, ties them with the Celtics for the longest win streak of the season. All right, Kevin, take a look at our upcoming schedule. Producer Mahmoud has been working on these graphics.
Right, look,
We got
you got home and away now.
Raptors.
You ask.
Tonight's not easy because, by the way, Milwaukee is nowhere near Oklahoma City. The league has not figured out that there's cities that are back-to-back.
Yeah, not right.
Raptors haven't lost a game in regulation since February 1st, and then you have another back-to-back, New Orleans and Minnesota, 2 airports that are nowhere near each other, by the way. But I know we do love letters here to the Rockets for last month. The amount of good stuff they got last night out of, P.J. Tucker as the roll man. Clint Capella on the catch, collapsing defense, pitch it out to, a guy who has found his feel within this offense. You know why? Because it's an easy offense to find your feel in. They have made it so easy for guys to succeed. These pass-aheads. Nene, out of a made basket of the Thunder. 94 feet to Luke Bahamute, who snuck behind the defense. They get 15 points a night. The only other team that gets points that way are the Golden State Warriors. And and they didn't even play well. They gave away a fifth of their possession.
They're going to lose tonight.
Well, Kevin, what you just described, that's Mike D'Antoni's entire offense, right? The idea that we run after makes and misses. The idea that you're either, if you're not a play creator, you're shoot it or move it, or you're a roll man, you roll hard to the rim. And if you're P.J. Tucker, you can actually do both. You can roll, and you can be a shooter or move it guy. But most importantly, ball finding energy, right? And that if tonight's your night where you get 12 shots, maybe next night you don't, but someone who got 2 shots tonight gets 12 the next night.
And you know your night might be.
And you're always there. You're always in it because the pace allows for everyone to get possessions. But I'll go back to something else that you said, Rachel. It's the idea that this team, the confidence that they have is what's swelling. And that's the big thing for them. It's not 16 games in a row is cool, right? But the idea that when they look at it and they say, hey, we've lost 1 game with these 3 guys, That's real. That's like no. And we played Golden State with these guys, and we beat them. That's real.
And to your point, everybody's going to get shots. Everybody's going to be in a position to succeed. Nobody's going to be asked to do something defensively they can't do. Because by the way, now we have a really smart scheme that it emphasizes the switch and just again accounts for help from the base.
And they have defenders.
We got to get to this next thing because we always talk about all the young talent in the league. ESPN.com has ranked them the top 25 players under the age of 25. And I want to show you guys how they stacked their top 5. Giannis was their number 1. Anthony Davis came in 2nd. Joel Embiid was 3rd. Kat and the Joker rounded out the top 5. And first off, can we just remark on how quickly things change in this league? We are now perhaps in the middle of the greatest guard era in the NBA. And now all of a sudden, all these young up-and-comers are superstars
Those
of
are
tomorrow.
4s and 5s, all of them.
And
no guards.
And not only that, but I think they still are reflective of where the NBA is going. Look at all those guys.
Yeah.
They're all very...
But it's just, you would not have thought,
not
if
from
I
that
told you
position,
3 years ago when Steph's setting the threes record and all that stuff, I said, oh, when we do in 3 years, our next bud of superstars, there's going to be no guards in it.
Yeah.
No, it would have been insane. Do you guys good with Giannis over AD?
Now, I mean, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment because, I mean, obviously AD the last month has just been insane. I mean, I still like... Do I have to choose? Do I really have to choose? I have to choose. I mean, I think there's a certain intensity to Giannis that that smells like superstar to me. In a way, they're both superstars in my opinion, but it smells like greatness. But what Davis has done in the last month is giving me, again, not that I'm ever a prisoner of the moment, but man, it's hard not to have a little recency bias when you saw what we did last night across the street.
Well, he's showing you what he's capable of.
Well, this is where I'm not going to go smell test like Kevin. I'm going to go something a lot more tangible. Of those guys, those 5 guys, probably the most durable guy is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that's where I'm going with that. If you're asking for a differentiator why he's won over AD, over Embiid, both guys who are otherworldly talents, guys who I think in 20 years or so we'll be seeing them in Springfield. But Giannis hasn't gotten hurt like those other guys have.
It's so true. Durability is
that's
kind of the magic potion.
Right.
That's what separates, LeBron from, guys who might have had many of our friends on the show here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just said you smell. I'm not sure.
No, he said the smell test. He likes
and I think producer Steve is sad because we never got to the Kristaps Porzingis B-roll. But maybe next time, Steve. Coming up, we are going to react to the Nuggets benching their best player in the 4th quarter last night.
That's the top 5 right
you
now.
You heard that right. First, here's a distant replay from this date in 2002. Keon Clark.
I'm going to guess this is him dunking it against Dallas. Oh!